The late afternoon sun poured through the tall windows at Nessa Glow. Vanessa moved through the halls with an easy, composed smile, quiet confidence in her posture, admired without having to say a word. Today she seemed brighter than usual. She decided to leave early and surprise her husband, Michael, with a homemade dinner, an indulgence she rarely allowed herself amid the chaos of work. Tonight he'll see how much I still love him, she thought, sliding her purse over her shoulder. Vanessa and Michael had been married 12 years. He was effortlessly charming, the kind of man who made friends in minutes. For a long time she believed their marriage was steady and built on trust. Lately, though, something had shifted. Distance where there used to be warmth, long silences that didn't feel accidental. She'd told herself every couple hit rough patches. Maybe a little romance, an unexpected meal, would bridge the gap. That Friday she told her team she'd be reachable only for emergencies and slipped out. Home felt unusually quiet when she walked in. She put down her purse, headed for the kitchen, and started thinking through the Italian dish she'd make, his favorite, when she heard voices upstairs. Laughter. Voices coming from Michael's home office. He'd been holed up there more and more, claiming he needed space for projects. Curious and still smiling, Vanessa crept up the stairs. The closer she got, the clearer the words. Too intimate to be harmless. "Do you think she suspects anything?" a sweet, practiced female voice asked. "Of course not, babe. She trusts me completely," Michael answered. "Plus, I handle all the contracts with Oliver. Everything goes through me first. And guess who's paying for our weekend getaway? Vanessa." Her name, said like that, hit her like a punch. Vanessa froze, peering through a crack in the door. There he was, Michael, arm around a younger blonde, pressing a kiss to her neck while they stared at a laptop. "Five-star suite, all paid by Nessa Glow," he murmured, grinning. Vanessa's world tilted. This was more than betrayal. It was theft and betrayal braided together. He was siphoning money from her company, using her trust as cover, and joking about it. She didn't burst in. She didn't yell. She walked away in a quiet that felt louder than anything she could have shouted. Outside, the sky turned the color of her mood. She sat in her car, hands trembling on the wheel, then dialed Oliver, her company's treasurer and someone she trusted. "Mrs. Vanessa? Everything okay?" he asked, surprised by the late call. "No, Oliver. I need the truth." "No," she said. "About Michael. About the company expenses. I want everything. And don't worry, you won't pay for a thing. You're protected." Silence stretched, then Oliver, exhausted and scared, spilled it all. "He's been threatening me for months. Said he'd frame me for stolen money if I spoke up. I tried, Mrs. Vanessa, but he's ruthless." "Enough," she said, steady. "Thank you. You're protected. He's going to pay every cent back." She hung up and let herself feel the hurt, sharp, real, but beneath it something colder and firmer took root. Resolve. "Now it's my turn to surprise him," she told herself. She drove to the Azure in South Beach, the hotel Michael had booked for the romantic weekend, not as a trusting wife, but as a woman who'd been betrayed and was about to become more dangerous than he imagined. The next morning, heavy clouds matched her mood. Pain lingered, but it propelled her rather than froze her. The woman who had come home early the night before no longer existed. She arrived at the office early. No makeup, hair pulled back, dressed in black, but her eyes were sharper than ever. Her assistant opened her mouth to speak. She only shook her head and walked straight to her office, calling Oliver in. He came in, head bowed, a folder clutched in his hands. "Lock the door," she said. He obeyed, visibly nervous. "What you heard yesterday stays between us." "Understood?" she asked, voice low and precise. "Yes, ma'am. Show me everything. Every invoice, every booking, every transaction from the past few months. I want to know how much of my money he used to finance his little circus with his mistress." Oliver hesitated. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Vanessa. I should have told you. He had access to your digital signature and the systems. He said he'd destroy me. And now you have access to the truth," she said. "That's all I need. I'll protect you. We'll untangle this together. Are you with me?" Oliver's eyes glistened. "Always have been, Mrs. Vanessa." They worked in silence for hours while Oliver spread documents across the desk. Lavish dinners, 5-star hotel reservations, designer purchases, flights, charge after charge on the company card. Over $480,000, he whispered, stunned. And a big chunk went to an account under the name Madison Lane. Madison Lane, Vanessa repeated, the name like ice. That's her. She was in my house yesterday, laughing. She stood, rage hardening her features. He thought I'd never find out. That I'd stay the sweet, clueless wife. He was wrong. He's going to learn I'm made of the same kind of cold, only smarter. And I'm about to turn the tables. She put a steady hand on Oliver's shoulder. From now on, you're my right hand, but quietly. He can't suspect a thing. Let's watch him drown in his own arrogance. That afternoon, she printed every file, made copies, and locked them in a safe. She created encrypted files with limited access. Then she called Miami's top real estate agent. I want to buy a beachfront condo. Cash. But under someone else's name. Is that possible? Of course, the agent said. What's your price range? Show me the most expensive. I'll take it. For the first time since the discovery, Vanessa felt something like relief. It wasn't only about money. It was about dignity. She would rise without stooping to his level. Michael sent a message that afternoon saying he needed rest and would return renewed after the weekend. Vanessa replied with smiling emojis and hearts, keeping the act alive. Every move from then on was deliberate. Before she left, she caught her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Thinner, paler, but eyes alive with purpose. He's going to pay with interest, she promised herself. And when he least expects it, I'll be standing in front of him, smiling. Friday began like any other for Michael. He showered to music, dabbed on expensive cologne, dressed in a linen shirt and tight jeans, and left with a smug grin, the swagger of a man who thought he was still invincible. Vanessa watched him from the kitchen, pretending to make coffee. Heading out early today, she asked, calm. Yeah, just tying up a few things before the trip, he said. You know how it is, last-minute stuff. Of course. Just be careful with spending, she said, pouring slowly. The company's been covering a lot lately. Michael hesitated, then shrugged. You know I only use what's necessary, babe. She smiled as if she believed him. Inside, her blood boiled. The paradise he expected would be the trap she had designed. What he thought would be a weekend of romance was about to become his personal hell. The moment Michael pulled away in the BMW i7 Platinum Edition, suitcase in the trunk, smug grin on his face, Vanessa exhaled like she was finally releasing the weight of every lie he'd piled on her. The second he was out of sight, she called Oliver. Is everything ready? Yes, ma'am, he said. We finished the calculations. He siphoned off $487,000. The transfers are done, and the condo is under Michelle Rivera's name, just as you asked. Perfect, Vanessa said. Now let's plan the next phase. The rest of the day, she tied up every loose end. She visited the condo, staged part of it with fresh flowers and tasteful decor, snapped photos, and built a paper trail that made it look like she'd fallen in love with the place on impulse. Everything had to feel effortless, believable. Michael needed to buy the story. Saturday morning, her phone buzzed. Michael, babe, this hotel is amazing. I brought wine. Vanessa, enjoy it, Michael. You deserve it. She almost gagged as she typed, but the performance had to hold until Monday. When Michael returned home, still riding high, he grinned like he'd won some game only he understood. How was your weekend, babe? Vanessa asked lightly. Relaxing. You? I was looking at some properties, she said, pulling up photos on her phone. Thinking of investing in something that's just mine. A place by the water, somewhere peaceful. She slid the images of the condo across the table. Pretty, right? Michael frowned. Isn't that a little out of budget? Maybe, Vanessa said, feigning hesitation. But I thought you might want to give it to me. After everything we've been through. I know you've always wanted me to be happy. And things have been going so well for you lately. He hesitated, then smiled, ego winning over reason. Of course, babe. You deserve the world. If that place makes you happy, it's yours. Vanessa masked her disgust with a quick kiss on the cheek. Stage 1 was complete. The condo was his gift, but in someone else's name. The following week, she pressed further. You know what would make it perfect now? she asked casually over breakfast. A car. Something new. Classy. I think it's time I started driving like a queen. But you already have two, Michael said. Not like this one. I saw the new BMW i7 at the dealership. Absolutely stunning. I imagined myself behind the wheel, like a symbol of our fresh start. Desperate to play the doting husband, Michael caved. Another purchase. Another mistake. Vanessa smiled sweetly as he signed the papers. You're amazing, Michael. I don't even know how to thank you. Oh, I do, he smirked, leaning in. She brushed his lips with hers and whispered, all in good time. That night, while he snored beside her, Vanessa stared at the ceiling. The pieces were set. All that remained was the final blow. The days that followed felt like a perfectly rehearsed play. Vanessa was the star, Michael the fool who thought he was directing. Every smile, every word was calculated to keep him blind. She showed him photos of the condo again. Curtains, Italian furniture, the ocean view. He bragged to his friends about buying his wife a palace. You should have seen the guys at Coral Bay Social Club when I told them the price, he said proudly. They think I'm a genius. Vanessa just smiled, quietly counting down the days. The car arrived the next week, a sleek silver BMW with white leather seats. Michael plastered social media with photos, writing about love and generosity. Vanessa reposted with a polite emoji. Their friends fawned over the perfect couple. But behind closed doors, she was already moving toward the kill. One night, while Michael showered, she slipped into his office. In the drawer, she found a small box stuffed with hotel receipts, shopping slips, and a silver ring engraved M plus L Michael and Madison. Vanessa smirked. Thanks for being such an idiot. She copied everything and left it exactly as she found it. The next evening, she invited him to dinner at one of Miami's trendiest restaurants, full of the people he liked to impress. Over wine, she baited the trap. You know, love, I've been thinking of expanding the business. A new line of natural products. Something that's truly mine. It'll take a big investment. Have you thought about investors? I could connect you with the right people. I'd rather use my own money or yours, she said with a laugh. You always tell me my success is yours too, right? Michael clinked his glass against hers. Always, babe. Always. Vanessa smiled and took a sip, studying him like he was a stranger. This was the man who lived off her, who cheated, who stole from her company and threatened her staff, and now toasted a future he wouldn't be part of. The next morning, she met her attorney. I want to file for divorce. I want evidence of infidelity, embezzlement, and threats attached, but not yet. I want to wait until he's comfortable, unsuspecting. The attorney nodded knowingly. You want to destroy him where it hurts most. Vanessa's eyes gleamed. I want him to choke on his own poison. To lose everything, not by chance, but because he underestimated me. That afternoon she called Oliver. I need your help with the final transfer. We're moving all the assets into third-party names. When the split comes, he walks away with nothing. And after that, Oliver, you'll get a bonus and a promotion. You've earned it. For the first time in months, Oliver smiled. In Vanessa, he no longer saw a wounded wife. He saw a woman reborn. That night, she came home to Michael lounging on the couch. Hey, babe, anything new at work? He asked casually. Nothing much. Quiet as usual, she replied. But the storm was already forming. The following week, everything shifted. Vanessa climbed the stairs with a serene smile. You have no idea, Michael. Not a clue. The sky outside was clear, but inside her chest thunder gathered. Every piece of her plan was in place. Now it was time for checkmate. That Wednesday, she woke early, showered, and dressed with deliberate elegance, a fitted dress, flawless makeup, soft waves in her hair. She looked radiant, untouchable. Michael still slept soundly, oblivious. Vanessa sipped her coffee in silence, grabbed a black leather folder, and left the house. In the passenger seat sat two things: the signed divorce papers and an envelope stuffed with evidence, photos, receipts, hotel records, and Oliver's video of Michael and Madison at their weekend hideaway. She drove straight to his office. One sharp knock, then she walked in. Vanessa. Michael blinked in surprise. What are you doing here? I came to drop off some documents, she said evenly. Personal matters. She crossed the room, set the folder on his desk, and opened it. One by one, she laid out the photos, receipts, hotel bookings, payments from her company accounts, text messages between him and Madison. And finally, the signed divorce papers. Michael shot to his feet, eyes wild. What the hell is this? Are you out of your mind? Vanessa didn't flinch. It's the truth, Michael. The truth you thought you could bury while you played house with your mistress, using my money. Vanessa, wait, he stammered. You're blowing this way out of proportion. She stepped closer, her voice cutting like glass. You cheated. You stole. You threatened people who've been loyal to me for years. You underestimated me. But now you're going to pay. When he lunged for the documents, she yanked them back before his fingers touched the pages. I'll see you in court, she said coldly, then walked out without looking back. The following week, the courtroom was packed. Vanessa sat tall beside her attorney, calm, composed, unshakable. Michael stumbled in late, unshaven, dark circles etched under his eyes. The judge combed through the evidence piece by piece. Michael tried to twist the story, pointing a finger at Oliver. She set me up. This was her plan all along. Vanessa didn't react. She kept her gaze fixed on the judge, her spine straight, her expression unreadable. The climax came when her attorney revealed the trail of asset transfers. The condo, the BMW i7, the diverted funds. Everything Michael had gifted her had already been moved to third-party names, legally locked away before the divorce filing. These assets are not subject to division, Your Honor, her lawyer explained. They were purchased with company funds, transferred and registered before these proceedings began. The defendant willingly signed every document. Michael exploded. You used my own money to leave me with nothing. Vanessa finally broke her silence, her voice calm but deadly. The same money you stole from me. Every dollar you wasted on your mistress is back where it belongs. And you? You walk away with nothing. The judge ruled in Vanessa's favor. Michael's outburst was so reckless that even his own legal team scolded him as they packed up, embarrassed to be associated with him. Outside, cameras flashed, reporters swarmed, whispers carried through the courthouse steps. Vanessa didn't stop for interviews. She simply got into her car and called Oliver. Can you transfer everything back into my name, officially? It's already in motion, ma'am, he said confidently. In the days that followed, Miami buzzed with the scandal. Coffee shops, boardrooms, even the Coral Bay Social Club where Michael once bragged. Everywhere, people whispered about his fall. While Michael spiraled into debt and disgrace, Vanessa rose, stronger, sharper, untouchable. One morning in her luxury condo at Ocean View Residences, she sat at the breakfast table, reviewing a contract stamped with the Nessa Glow logo. It was the expansion deal for her new line of natural products, signed with a multinational partner. The funding? Pulled directly from the assets Michael had once used to betray her. The poison he used against her had become the fuel for her empire. Oliver walked in, smiling, a stack of documents in hand. It's done. The condo, the car, even the reimbursements. They're all officially returned to the company. Michael's been wiped clean, and not in the way he hoped. Oh, and congratulations. You're officially promoted. From now on, you're leading finance. Thank you, Vanessa, he added, voice thick with emotion. For trusting me, even after everything. She smiled softly. Anyone who can't be bought or broken earns my trust for life. She picked up the keys to her BMW, now legally hers, and drove down Ocean Drive with the windows lowered, wind in her hair, lighter than she had felt in years. Meanwhile, Michael rotted in a dingy rented apartment on the outskirts of Miami, dodging creditors and lawyers. Madison had vanished after the trial, leaving him with nothing but lawsuits and regret. No mistress stays for long once the money dries up. One afternoon, he tried calling Vanessa. She answered, her tone ice cold. You had everything, my trust, my company, and you chose betrayal. Now live with the consequences. I'm exactly where I belong. And she hung up. The following week, Vanessa made her grand entrance at the Florida Beauty Excellence Awards Gala. In a striking red gown, she turned every head in the room. When her name was called for Businesswoman of the Year, applause thundered. On stage, she held the award high, her eyes gleaming. "This recognition isn't just about results," she said. "It's about resilience. About rising from betrayal. About turning pain into power. I've learned, it's not about forgiving the people who tried to break you. It's about never letting them silence you. And the best revenge," she paused, her smile slow and radiant, "is success." The crowd rose to their feet in a standing ovation, and Vanessa, glowing, smiling, unstoppable, knew she had won. Not just against Michael. She had won herself back. You just heard this one from Stories by Sue. If it resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments, I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching.